everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of the Netflix Weekly. I am your lesser host, Rob, and with us our morer host.
Is that a fat joke?
No, you're the morer host.
Moron?
I was going to say the fatter host, but the moron host. But people will notice things look a bit different for me. Hopefully they'll go back.
Sound a bit different.
Yeah, and sound a bit different. I might stay on this camera because I kind of like this view. Yeah, so Kingston, we had a huge storm the other day, yesterday to be specific. And even though I had a bunch of shit plugged into pretty much everything plugged into surge protectors, random shit got blown up in my house. And to explain how random, so we have one of those automatic cat litter box things. That was fine. But on that same surge protector, the power supply to our Google Mesh Wi-Fi thing, the power supply, it was like heating up to the point of wanting to explode. So that mesh was out. I had to replace that power supply. My Xbox, which was plugged into a surge protector, it will not turn on anymore. So I got to open it up and see what I can figure out. Yeah. That kind of sucks.
Xbox One?
Xbox One, yeah.
It doesn't need a surge protector. That would be redundant.
Does it really? Why does it have one built in?
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought
it has that box.
The brick. Yeah, it doesn't have a brick. The one that I have does not have a brick.
Well, is it Series X?
No, Xbox One. That's what I mean. I
have to look into that.
Even worse is it went out of warranty 2 months ago. So I was like, son of a bitch. So I'm going to pop it open. I've read some stuff on online on YouTube about dicking around with it. So, but luckily, my near $4,000 television, it was fine. So thank fuck, I'm okay with the Xbox blowing up as long. But like the Google Home that was connected to it, the Bose sound system that's connected to it, the TV, everything was fine except for the fucking Xbox.
The dock.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean the dock?
Your dock for this.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, that was the other thing. So in my office, I have a bunch of QA stuff behind me. I have my drums here. All of that works, no problem. But the Cat 6 wires, the Ethernet wire, going to the switch, because I have a small switch underneath, because I have a phone, a VoIP phone and stuff for work. That my switch died, so it was gone. So I was like, okay, I guess my switch got blown up. So I threw the switch out and replaced it with another one that still wasn't working. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I figured out that the cable itself, the Ethernet cable, died because the one going to my QA bench worked, but the one going to my switch for my desk, my main desk, did not. So I had to swap those two cables. And then I have a little, I guess is the best way to put it, a small, it's called Ivanki. It's a docking station for my MacBook. Everything on it continued to work. I could still connect to my main monitor, all my USB devices, but the Ethernet didn't work on it. So the cable worked. I got a new switch. That switch worked. It was a brand new cable, but the dock, and also the dock was heating up. So now, and this is the reason, long story short, that long story long, and wish I had been shorter, that I'm on the camera and the mic that I'm on now, where with my MacBook, now I just got the external monitor plugged into it and a USB-C to Ethernet adapter plugged into it to make sure that it goes as fast as it does. And tonight, or I guess throughout the week, because I'll be fixing a bunch of shit, I'm going to hopefully successfully build some Cat 6 cables, because I have the cable and I have my crimp kit and all that. So that'll be interesting if I could actually create the cables, because I have tried before and fucked them up every time.
Sounds like the surge went through your Ethernet.
That's what happens, right? Because remember, you can carry power over power over Ethernet. So yeah, that's, I believe, exactly what happened. Oh, another thing too, totally random. So I have Bell 5, right?
Yeah.
So I have that Bell 5 modem. The USB port on the modem and LAN 3 on the back of the modem, both of those got blown out. LANs 1, 2, and 4 will work, but not LAN 3 and not the USB. So I was like, it's kind of strange.
Oh, well, yeah, I saw the lightning bolt. That must have been the culprit.
There was a few big ones.
My apartment building overlooks almost overlooks Rob's property, a little bit over from it, and I was overlooking the nearby field and area beyond there. There's a church, and
with rear window binoculars.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah.
get me changing in my backyard.
I use those. Anyway,
when I bend over, I push my ass up against the back window. Looks like a pressed fruit bowl.
I thought those were your wife's boobs. I'm sorry. No. So I was looking out the window and I was getting a really good view. And then all of a sudden, that lightning bolt just went crack, and it just went across the street, right on Rob's area of the town, and it's just an immediate crack bang. Everything shook. My wife woke up. My son stayed asleep, oddly enough. Is that what finally got you out of the basement?
Yeah, I was sitting in the and it's funny, you were saying, man, this lightning in my movie room down here, I purposely put it where it is so there's no windows. And so I said to you, I'm in a windowless void. I don't see fucking anything. And then I heard, like, it was a crack that shook the fucking house. That was a loud bit of thunder, and everything just went in the whole house, just stopped. I'm like, oh shit. So everything's coming back on, but then a few things were coming back on, specifically the Wi-Fi. It's the first thing everybody noticed. Then I noticed I was watching Deadwood on my Xbox, and Xbox wasn't coming back on. And then we didn't notice this for a while because we went out to watch the lightning, because holy shit, it was spectacular. You could see lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was a couple times where it was like 2 seconds of straight just lightning.
Before it started raining, it was raining lightning. Like,
damn.
Out in southeastern, you could see everything coming towards us, and it was just lightning. It just kept going, and it was just, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, but then you heard all the fucking ambulances and fire engines and cops all outside. It got pretty hairy, and I was like, man, are we the only ones unlucky enough to get hit by this? And my wife's in an aquarium group because we have a big aquarium. And a bunch of people on her aquarium group. Luckily, pretty sure our aquarium is fine, no issues with it. But one guy had brought up in her aquarium group that the guy's got like a 300-gallon tank, and both of his heaters died. So when you got a tank that big, all the shit that's in there is going to rely on that heat, and his fucking heaters died. So he was panicking like crazy.
I bet. So
yes,
that was our fun news. A side note, I always have allergies, so if you see me rubbing my eye or bleeding out of my eyeballs, hello, how are you?
Drugs.
That's my allergies. All right, moving on. Kingston meth.
Yeah, Kingston is a big problem with meth, I will say. You can tell by some of the people that live here.
And like Netflix weekly hosts.
We're all meth heads, too. You can
all
tell
right,
by
so
how cool we are.
Rob,
all right,
no honorable mentions. We have to get into it this week. I'm sorry. Say something quick.
Mention. It's a bummer that Richard Donner is dead. I don't know if everybody heard last week. Richard Donner died. Richard Donner, for those that don't know who Richard Donner is, he's effectively responsible for some of, I'm sure, your favorite movies. I know some of my favorite movies, but I mean, the big ones. Richard Donner made The Omen. He made Superman. He made effectively Superman 2 because he shot the two at the same time until they fired him. He made The Goonies. He made The Lethal Weapons. Like, he made some awesome movies. Forget Lethal Weapon 3 and 4. Let's pretend they don't exist. But Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 are fantastically good action movies. The Omen is a fantastic movie about like an evil kid that his father has to kill because he's the Antichrist. And of course, the very first Superman, first and second Superman are like, they were the start of superhero movies. You know what I mean? So I was very bummed. I mean, he was an old guy who was 91. So he definitely had a nice life, but I was bummed to hear that Richard Donner kicked butt.
Worthwhile movies to go check out if you haven't.
Absolutely. I don't know how you wouldn't have watched Superman, but I guess some people have it.
Well, I'm sure like kids these days, teenagers even.
The names that I have for the movies in my notes list are Failing Furiously 3. I just call Black Widow, and Superhero Frogs.
Okay, so the first damn it. So I have full-on notes for the superhero one. I guess two of them are that. The third, the how I became a superhero. I took a whole on notes, and I hate my life.
All right, let's cover Fast and Furiously Fast 3.
Let's go into Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, the third movie of this beautiful saga that Rob is going to watch all of.
I will say I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. I thought I would be a lot more bored through this third one was a fucking slog. This was terrible. This was the worst. But
I didn't think that.
I hate it. Out of the two, and I've only watched the first two, I hate this one. And I hate this one for a very obvious reason that I'll get into. First thing that I noticed, which is a common trope, but it's always funny, is I love how, what the fuck is his name? Sean is a high school student. He's 18. This guy's easily 35, 35 years old. And I'm like, oh, you're 18. And then everybody else in this fucking school is like 30, 35, but they're all teenagers. I always think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's that also, common trope from back then. Or I think it still happens today. I want to say it stopped, but it still happens today. It's to get around certain things, but it's like it's just put people of that age in the movie.
Tom Holland looks like a high schooler. So
not anymore, but
I thought that was pretty good. He looked like a high school, but when they used like Andrew Garfield, and especially Tobey Maguire, it's like, here's this 40-year-old guy in high school. Like, yeah, dude, that's like me saying I'm going to fucking high school. Like Steve Buscemi been like, hey, what's up, fellow kids? Like, no, that doesn't work. But so that made me laugh. And then right out of the gate, I was like, wow, this is fucking stupid. Sean, I'm gonna call him Sean Walker because I don't know what his name is. But Sean and kid from Arrested Development, they are not Arrested Development, Home Improvement. Yeah, they need to race each other, and they're like, "Well, what am I going to win and beat your ass?" And the girl's like, "Me, I'll be the prize." And I'm like, "Wow!" It didn't even need the men to objectify women in this movie. Exactly. They already objectified themselves. Yeah, like, oh, this is feminism. Like, go girls. Yes, your property that men win when they race
it's cars. Like me watching this was like, I don't really care who wins. They're both douchebags. So
well then, so they have a big race, and I was bored. Not bored in that I was like not paying attention, but like they need to bring something new to it. And maybe that was the whole point of Tokyo Drift. But I'm like, I've seen cars race before. The first two movies, this is all they fucking were. So I'm like, I'm bored watching these car races. So Sean, busts his car all apart. He goes to jail, not jail, goes to the cop shop. And
he did win, didn't he?
I don't fucking care. I wasn't paying attention. But his mom shows up, and his mom is maybe a year older than he is in real life. So I was like, no, that's distracting.
They had them young back then.
And what I did like, so this movie's directed by Justin Lin, who I'm not going to say is a good director, but he's a very competent director. And I think Justin Lin is totally in on the joke on the it's not homophobic and it's not homoerotic, but the joke that you can drop some gay jokes, not making fun of gay people, but gay jokes into it because the straight tough bro guys are never going to get it. Yeah. And the first one came from, so Sean is shipped to Tokyo because his dad is in the Navy over there. And his dad's in the Navy because every time you see his fucking dad, he's wearing a fucking shirt that says Navy. I think it's 4 times he shows up in the movie. He's wearing the exact same fucking shirt that says Navy across it. So I guess he's in the fucking Navy. But I do like.
They had to drive it home.
He's barking at Sean. And right over the father's shoulder, there's a bookshelf behind him. And there's one book sticking out called Straight Stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, there's no way that Justin Lin missed that. He's like, hey, that book, Straight Stuff, put it so we can read that spine right over his shoulder.
He brought it with him.
Right? That every bro guy watching this go, dude, bro, he's a racer, bro, wants to race, bro. I mean, come on, bro. I mean, they're fucking banging or fisting or whatever the fuck that bullshit's called. And Justin Lin's got a book there. It says Straight Stuff. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I like that.
Rob here is basically telling you that the Fast and Furious movies are very much like Top Gun.
Yes, but not to the degree of Top Gun. Top Gun was way too over the top of the homoeroticism. And that was homoeroticism.
And
You
yet
cannot tell me.
still somewhat on the down low, like to the bro guys who would be like, pilots, bro. They're just
But,
playing
like, you know what?
volleyball, man.
Like, oh fuck, I was super young when I watched that movie, and because my sister's a huge Tom Cruise fan, and as soon as that volleyball scene comes on, even I was looking at it like, this is a, yeah, this. I think if I was a different boy, this would make me feel different. It would
Rob
make me feel like my
discovered
sister
something
and
inside
her
of him.
friends. I think I discovered that, wow, look at the way that my sister and her friends are watching this scene. I'm not digging this scene like this. But if maybe I was built a bit differently, or I had been born a bit differently, I think this would have been working for me. But I don't know how you can see that as homoerotic. And it was the same as this. There's so many parts so far in parts 1 and part 2 and parts of part 3. It didn't get as obvious in part 3. Some where this Chinese guy that wants to kiss him, I wish he would have just kissed him all the time, because he's this fucking close to him, and a lot of times he's just smiling. I don't like this. I'm like, just kiss each other and get it over with. But the next thing I like, and then this was the end of it, so I was upset. Sean's little black friend. What's his little black friend's name?
Little Bow Wow. Oh,
Twink.
what's it? Oh, yeah.
So yes, his little black friend is named Twink, and I'm like, huh. They had to have known that meant something at that time, and I found out it did because I messaged a friend of mine. He's gay, and I was like, hey, did Twink mean what it means now back in the 90s? He's like, oh yeah, that's when it came to light. And I was like, ooh, so Twink was named Twink for a reason. So I was like, okay, this is stupid. And then I wrote down 5 minutes in the first car chase, I'm bored. What's on Reddit? So maybe that's why I didn't know who won, because I was like already on fucking Reddit. Because again, these movies so far, not saying all of them are going to be like this, but so far, the second one has been the best, but the first one and this third one are really daring me to not pay attention. They're boring. They're poorly acted. I don't care about the car stuff. So,
but at least we got some Asian schoolgirls.
Yeah, so that was all right. When you see all the girls show up, and what I did like was, in the first one they had like girls dressed up like hip hop, and girls dressed up
all types, really,
like all different types. I'm not going to say all, but the overwhelming majority of Asian girls in this one are schoolgirls. And I was like, that's a good choice, Justin Lin. That was a good dramatic choice. You went to your costume designer and said, okay, that guy and this, that guy and this, that guy and this. All the girls have them uniformed as schoolgirls, every single fucking one of them.
That's a stereotype. Why not?
Don't care. Yep, don't give a shit. I'm Chinese, so I'm allowed to make that stereotype. Put them all as schoolgirls. But one thing that I don't know if you noticed it, and maybe it's for the sake of the movie, which I get it. Why did so many Japanese kids in a Japanese school speak perfect English? I would assume that if they're over there, it would be either broken English, because that would basically be like me going to Japan.
It gives them more TV to watch.
I don't expect that. I go over to Japan and they are instantly going, oh, you don't speak any Japanese? Okay, I'll speak English. The same way that I expect that if a Japanese person comes over here, I'm not going to be able to speak Japanese to them. I'm going to be giving them broken Japanese. You know what I mean? So
the only people that could not speak English were the teachers.
I like that. That was good, eh? The teachers explained to him about his slippers. And then, of course, I love how he walks in and it's all Asian, except this one girl right in the middle who is difficult to determine what her ethnicity is. I got kind of a Spanish look from her, but she might have been some sort of Asian, like Korean.
This seems to be a theme.
Yeah, a hard to determine ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
But so Sean gets taken by Twink over to this car racing place, and the car racers, they all speak English, even though they're all Japanese. They're all talking about the cars. And this is where I realized, okay,
but at least they have a heavy accent.
Some. Not all. The long-haired guy,
not
the
Han.
long-haired guy spoke better English than me. But this is when they all start racing and, oh no, dude, they drift here. What's drifting? And he learns about drifting. This is when I realized, you know what? This is the worst one of all of them for me. And you know why? And I am so surprised to say it. It's missing Paul Walker. Paul Walker's vapid happiness, and when I say vapid, I mean it in the nicest possible way, because he is having so much fun when he's making these movies. You can tell that that smile he's got on is 100% genuine. He's fucking loving it.
Yeah.
And I think I said this before, and that's missing from this one. You don't have, like, when Sean's driving, you're like, I don't buy
He's
this
just brooding
guy
all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Okay, you're supposed to have me invested in this character. You're supposed to make me like him, and there's not like one thing. What's the one thing like that makes me like this character?
Yep. Or makes me want to root for him. Nothing. You know, and that was the problem.
He's American. Yeah.
I feel like that's what it was too. He's the Caucasian guy. Go Caucasian. But yeah, there was nobody that I cared about in the movie. At least in the other one, I got Paul Walker, and Paul Walker's a big dummy, and I love to watch him. So he's what I'm watching in the other ones. But so I consider myself cautious, a very cautious person. I'm kind of instantly distrusting of most people. You know, like I'm not going to. My wife is a very trusting person, believes in good in everybody. I don't. I'm the complete opposite of that. I believe if someone's coming up to me and trying to talk to me in the street, you're trying to fuck me for something. Like not fuck me as in fuck me, but fuck me as in
maybe
fuck
that's
me over. Right, exactly, right. I've never seen, and maybe it's just because I'm not on the car scene. Do they just, hey, like the look of this guy, here's the keys to my $60,000 car. You go ahead and drive it, see if you can drift it. Oh, you destroyed my car? I'm gonna have to pick you up tomorrow. We'll do some errands. Does that really happen? Do you really give people the keys to a $60,000 car? They trash it, and then you're like,
that's the racing scene.
I guess. But yeah, then I zoned the fuck out about 45 minutes into this movie. Now all I can honestly say is Black Dude Twink got in a fight that Sean broke up. And now Twink says to Sean, now everybody's going to want refunds. I don't know what they were arguing about. Also, they have
arguing about an MP3 player that either didn't work or whatnot. And so now that got broken up, and the dude got his refund from Sean. They're all gonna want refunds in general for anything that he sells them.
I tell you, refunds for defective MP3 players, that's the type of action that I want in my car racing movie, because it just keeps me enthralled. I will say as well that there was a drifting love scene where all the cars are like drifting while Sean and his girl are in love. Like,
I wonder how much of that is true. Like, do cars really, and come to our Reddit, come and tell me, is there really like long lines of cars that are drifting together down a road?
I will say that one time when I was in college, 800 years ago, friends of mine, you can tell I was at school for English, friends of mine took me to a drifting competition. I had no idea what was going to be there, but I was the guy with the camera, so they always wanted me filming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I want to say he's Chinese, he might have been Japanese. He was the drifting champion of the world or of Japan or something. His name was Chunky Bai.
The Drift King from this movie.
Exactly. This guy looked a bit different. He kind of looked like an Asian Ronald McDonald. He was kind of a chubbier guy. He had very crazy orange hair, and his name was Chunky Bai. And I was like, man, what a goofy fucking name. But then I watched this guy drift, and this shit was legitimately cool to watch in person. It was boring as fuck to watch in a movie. But this Chunky Bai guy, he would open his door and put like his foot on the ground. So while his whole car was drifting, his like fucking door was open and his foot was on the ground. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. And he would when he drifted, he would come like within, like 3 feet of the fence that was stopping. Like he was close. And I was like, dude, that's really impressive. And I thought maybe I'll be as impressed during this movie. And I wasn't. I was really bored during this movie. It challenged me to fucking pay attention.
To me, it's that kind of drifting and gymkhana type stuff. I think that's what they call the what they call it now, the championship drifting type stuff is called gymkhana.
I like how I have this one piece of light right there.
Your blinds are defective. So yeah, there's only so far that can go. Like racing has its place, and drifting has no place.
Yeah, I don't get the competition of drifting. I don't know what you do. Is it who can drift farther?
I believe it's who can drift closest to obstacles and get like cut around turns better. And
I legitimately did not know. And then when they go on the drifting, so then Chinese guy who wants to kiss Sean, he's in the Yakuza, and long-haired Chinese guy has been ripping them off because they're partners, even though I've never seen them work together. And then at the end, there's a drift competition. Sean, I guess, wins. I don't know. And then Don Tortellini shows up and says someone is family. I don't remember who he said was family. And he says they got a race, and then it ends.
And they never go back to that ever again.
I didn't understand.
But you wouldn't know that.
But I didn't get why Don Tortellini showed up. Like,
I think that was just their way.
In Japan.
I think it was their way of saying there's another Fast and Furious movie in the workings, and it's going to have Dom coming back.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's just their way of saying it.
I didn't get why Dom was even there.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, he does street racing in the fucking US. What the fuck is he drift racing for in Tokyo?
You come back for the second movie, and you're like, "Where's Dom?" You're like, "Well, that's weird." Like, he was a huge part of that movie. It was the star. Maybe you can say he's the dual star of that movie. And then you come to the third one, and none of them are in it. And you're like, why? Why did they go this route? And then so
especially with how bad it was. To
then tell people at the end, guess what? Dom's back.
I never would have gotten that because I saw that. I guess because I knew there was a fourth Fast and Furious movie. But I never would have. If this was the third one and it was when it came out, I never would have put that together. That Dom shows up in the next one.
It's like when you go to the Marvel movies and like someone shows up at the end, and you're like, "Oh shoot, that's coming."
Speaking of Marvel movies, so Tokyo Drift sucks. Skip it if you can. It means absolutely nothing in the Fast and Furious franchise.
What would you rate it?
Oh, you know what? Even better than rating, because I know it had low Rotten Tomato scores, because remember, I can see it on the Plex TV now. I'd rather, where do I put this in the Fast and Furious franchise? That's what I'd rather.
Oh, that's an interesting way of doing it. Well, you should go 1, 2, like so far you've seen 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Who's your headliner right now? Who's number 1?
Absolutely number 2. Number 2 is it starts getting its legs.
Too Fast. Too Furious.
Too Fast, Too Furious. And it starts getting, only at the end, but it starts getting to just the right amount of stupid goof. Like, where nobody gives a shit anymore. They're like, dude, let's have some fun. Let's fucking throw a car onto a fucking boat. Like, let's have some fun. First one didn't have that. Third one sure as fuck didn't have that.
Who's in second place?
Number 1.
Number 1 in second place. And number 3 in number 3.
It should be buried.
It's going to keep going lower
forever.
The next week, we will continue this chart
for the Furious 4. Fantastic Furious 4.
Next week, I'm going to bring a whiteboard, and I'm going to forget this, but I'm going to bring a whiteboard, and I'm going to write it in.
Furiously Fantastic 4.
I could do it in post, but I think a whiteboard would be a lot easier. Okay.
All right. Now, on to, speaking of Marvel movies, on to our Marvel movie for the week. Why don't you tell everyone about the Marvel film?
Another Netflix. Oh wait, no. Marvel just released.
But what was it on? Disney Plus Premium.
Yeah. Well, and theaters. So Marvel just released Black Widow, a story about a woman coming of age. She's friend. Oh wait, no, that was a different one that I had to watch, and you didn't.
Yeah, well, I'd be okay with watching Black Widow come of age.
It's close. We kind of watched that.
Because imagine what she's doing when she finds out she can't get pregnant.
So this movie falls between Civil War and whatever came after Civil War.
well, technically Infinity War, because there was, didn't Black Panther come after Civil War, I think? But I
Yeah.
think it falls between her and Infinity War.
Yes, because she comes back with the vest.
Yep. And she comes back with Steve Rogers.
All right, continue.
I thought this was what you were.
No. I said how I became a superhero is the one I'm covering.
Okay. So I didn't take a ton of notes. I took a few notes because with these Marvel movies, and let's get this out of the way. I really enjoy the Marvel movies. I enjoy the formula. It's you're never you're always going to get what you pay for in the Marvel formula. There's some people that like to pretend, and I'm going to go off on a tangent for a bit. Shane Black used to be an amazing writer and director. Not director, I'm sorry, an amazing writer. The guy wrote fucking Predator. He did the script rewrites on Predator. He wrote Lethal Weapon. He did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He's a great, and he's done other stuff. I just can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but he's a great writer. And then Shane Black, like all people who get into social media do, started believing the hype about Shane Black. And then he made Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 sucks. When you put it into comparison, now it's better than Iron Man 2, it's better than Thor 2, but as an Iron Man movie, as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man 3 sucks.
I found it boring.
The redheaded, it's the redheaded stepchild. A lot of people like to pretend because Shane Black is Shane Black. They like to say, no, man, you don't understand, man. All the shit that happened in Iron Man 3, it's fucking awesome. The way the Mandarin, you know who he was, man. Like, yeah, that's fine. All those plot twists and shit like that's great. But as a movie that stands on its own two legs, it's garbage. And then Shane Black went and made The Predator, which was possibly one of the most disappointing movies I've ever watched. The most disappointing movie I've ever watched was Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. But The Predator, Shane Black's The Predator is a very,
with an S?
No, The Predator, the one. Remember where the Super Predator came and the guy's autistic son figured out how to read the inside of the Predator's house? It was terrible. It was terrible. If you ever want to watch a movie that you can tell was butchered by the director not believing in his vision and allowing the studio to butcher the movie, go watch The Predator by written director by Shane Black. But
I did like The Predators.
Predators, well, no, Predators.
Oh, I guess it's Predators, yeah.
Yeah, Predators was done by Robert Rodriguez. That one was pretty good where they were on the Predators planet. That was pretty good. So the reason I bring it up is I totally forgot why I brought it up outside of saying Shane Black. That's what it was. So the Marvel formula is great. When people run away from the Marvel formula, I feel this is the only genre where if you deviate from the Marvel formula, sometimes you fuck around with the movie a little bit and it ruins it a little bit.
Yeah.
Some movies have done that well. Like I find that Infinity War and Endgame are a bit different than the earlier movies in the MCU, just a tad though. They still keep the same formula, but they get a little different here and there. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. It keeps that original formula, but they play with a little bit. You know what I mean? They have more quippier dialogue and stuff like that. But my point is, I enjoy the Marvel formula. This was Marvel formula. Like this, I feel like you could say we add Black Widow, we add an antagonist, we add additional protagonists, we add character arc, we add one big thing she's got to deal with to make you think she's not going to win, and script. You know what I mean? Like it feels very, very formulaic. But I enjoyed it with this one. It wasn't great. You know, it was by no means is this a movie I'm going to watch again and again. You know what I mean? But it was fine.
It's not a must see.
Exactly.
It's fun. If you're into Marvel movies, you'll love it. At least like it.
Well, another thing I really like too, and I thought this was really smart, and I love smart movies. Smart movies are a big deal to me because so many movies are not smart anymore. But this movie was entirely a Black Widow story. You could not put this in the hands of anyone else in the Marvel universe, and it made sense that no other Avenger or no other Marvel cinematic universe character was involved in this movie, because it was entirely about Black Widow, Black Widow's past, and thing that Black Widow needs to deal with. I really like that, how they were very centric on Black Widow in this story. One thing I hated right out of the gate, I usually don't like, there's been maybe 1 or 2 times that it's happened and it was okay. But when newer movies take old songs like Smells Like Teen Spirit and put a new fucking spin on it, I hate that, man. And they've got this piano fucking garbage melody of Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was fucking nails on a chalkboard. It was so fucking bad.
But it was supposed to.
Oh my God. So we've all heard, and I'm hopefully that even the young kids who watch this have heard the song Smells Like Teen Spirit. Kurt Cobain screaming a denial at the end of that song is fantastic, right? But this one, it's just, a denial, a I'm like, am I putting a baby to sleep? This is fucking terrible. I hated it. So that annoyed me right at the
It was supposed to be unnerving, so it worked.
It wasn't though. It didn't. It was stupid. It was frustrating. You made me want to turn it off or fast forward through it. And I will say too, another thing that annoyed me was it evens out, but right in the start, the quippy dialogue between her and her sister, that was a little ingratiating. That was a little annoying.
I liked it. I think it needed to happen because this was a family movie, like a family dynamic.
I liked it as it got better, like when they're having conversations in the car, like about the poser thing. Loved the posing conversation. Yeah. Thought that was fucking great. But it was immediately when they run into each other in her apartment, and she's like, "I knew where you keep your gun, and where to go. You're always my big sister." I'm like, "Shut up! Like, come on, this is stupid." But I get maybe they just had to have that right at the start, and then maybe they get easier with each other. But their conversations as the movie progressed were much more enjoyable. That instant they meet each other, that annoyed me.
Can I just say, just because I want to think. I'm changing the subject because it's something that happened earlier. When they escape on the plane, and father is hanging.
The helicopter, right?
No, it was a plane.
When they're
when they escape the U.S. on a plane at the start of the movie, and father's hanging on the plane. I just want to hope in my mind that he was hanging on the whole way.
I thought that was a helicopter. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, nope. Right at the start. I'm sorry.
Yep. Helicopter isn't until later when he's escaping prison.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I never thought of it until now. There's 2 scenes where he's hanging on the fucking side of a flying vehicle. But I don't know. Do you think he hung on all the way from the United States?
I'm pretty sure he didn't, but I would think that they would have to fuel up somewhere, maybe. But
maybe that's when he finally got inside.
Or he just opened the thing up and got inside.
Also, the what's she called? Taskmaster, I believe, was the one of the antagonists or the mini antagonist of this movie. I kept on calling her Skeletor Daft Punk because that's kind of what she looked like. She had a skeleton face with a Daft Punk helmet on, so I called her Skeletor Daft Punk. That was a cool villain, you know. Marvel has
Taskmaster is a male in the comics.
Oh, really? Okay, that's pretty cool. They made it a female. It's one of those things that really doesn't matter, honestly, what gender it was. The character itself had a real
changed the character vibe altogether.
Really? Well, it had a real Snake Eyes vibe, like a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes vibe. So I dug on it. Thought it was great. Just the tech and how it looked cool. But that, again, that's part of the Marvel formula. Make sure that the bad guy is cool looking. You know what I mean? The fucking Winter Soldier. And
I absolutely love how they made Taskmaster copy Marvel moves that they fed to them, or her, sorry. And didn't make it obvious, except for some things. Some things were obvious. But like the subtle Spider-Man moves, like swinging at some point. There was a lot of subtle movements in there that didn't like scream, oh, there's the Hulk one. Oh, there's the...
But it you can tell it's part of that formula to, you know, to keep on reminding you you're watching a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like to keep you in that mindset. And again,
it works for me.
It does. It's a smart fucking way of doing things. I did like though, as soon as you could really feel James Gunn's influence on this, and I think you've been able to feel it on pretty much every superhero movie that's been made since Guardians. And I was very happy watching this. I am not one of the James Gunn bandwagon people. I was loving on James Gunn back when he wrote and directed Slither, which if you have not seen is a fucking fantastic movie. I went and saw it in the theaters, and that's what got me on James Gunn. I'm like, this guy is fucking great. You know, he made Slither. He made that movie where everybody's locked inside a building. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but he's made some awesome. He made Super, which is a movie you absolutely have to see with Rainn Wilson. It's fucking fantastic. But I've loved James Gunn for a while. And then when you watch Guardians, it's that dialogue. That's James Gunn dialogue. And what's funny is when her and her sister are in the car, and there's, you know, you pose, this pose, and then remember they go to the store and she's showing her how she poses. You look like idiot, you Armand. What is that? What are you doing? And she says, "Well, I'm fucking saving people when I'm doing that." That's all James Gunn dialogue, and you can feel James Gunn's influence on all of the movies ever since Guardians, and even on fucking DC's property. I mean, Jesus Christ. They tried to make Suicide Squad a James Gunn movie. It failed miserably. So then they hired him to basically revamp the fucking movie and do a brand new one called The Suicide Squad. Like how many years later? Like 5 years later. So you could really feel his influence. And I loved it. When they get to the father, David Harbour, who's fucking, it's impossible not to love David Harbour. He's such a fucking fun actor. When the sister starts getting into her rhythm, it was going great. Like I love when fucking, also, did I miss something? Why did Black Widow suddenly put on a white outfit? I feel like that was going to be an important plot point.
No.
Was that the only fucking reason?
Yeah, when army people go to the snow, they want to do it to blend in.
Okay, because she just has it on when she jumps out of the the helicopter, and I was like, did I miss something? Like, why is she in a white suit now? But I also have to give kudos to the costume directors or costume designer of this movie. Tokyo Drift was good, but goddamn, I don't want to be a sexist pig, but
we got to really see those costumes from the back quite a lot. There's a lot of hubbub on the internet about it.
Her mothers, but you know what? You're selling Black Widow. Black Widow was. She looks gorgeous in that outfit. Scarlett Johansson's a gorgeous girl. Her sister's very good looking. Mother, Rachel Weisz, very good looking lady. They weren't just sex objects. You know what I mean? Like they were intelligent. They were great at what they did. But goddamn, those suits were
let
good.
me put it this way: Love and Thunder is going to come out in about a year, something like that, or end of this year. I don't remember when the release date is, but they got Thor like jacked. Like, have you seen? Everyone's seen that picture of on set, and he's got muscles bigger than Hulk Hogan right now. You don't think they're going to take advantage of that for the female audience? Like,
shit! Remember that
for half of the male audience? Come on.
With the first Thor movie, he's out there and
just
like, whoa, this is
the handlebars,
I think like fucking right, dude. But I was just, I was impressed with that. But and what I thought was super funny was all the women look gorgeous. They never have to, they never have to work to get into their outfits. And then they have the one scene of David Harbour getting into his costume as the Red Guardian. And he's fucking trying to squeeze everything together and trying to squeeze himself into his shirt. He's like, yes, still fits, he says, eh? And I just love that.
I find it funny how he does that and he comes out and it looks a little baggy on him after that. I'm like, why was he like, did they not make it look tighter or like it didn't fit? That would be awesome.
But what I saw it as that I liked a lot was like, hey, and I'm not saying at all this is what it was, but it kind of felt like, we see a lot of female body shaming, like, you're too fat or you're too big or you're too tall or you're too this, you're too that. All the women are gorgeous in this. They get into their outfits without even fucking thinking about it. But the guy, he's got to fucking stretch and get into it. And his wife insists on him, like, you got fat when you were in prison, everything. I thought that was funny. It was, you never would have seen anybody say that to a female in this movie, but they say it to a male and it's all funny. You know what I mean? I felt like it was a little bit of kind of turning that stereotype on its head.
Yeah.
The last thing that I wrote down that I really liked is
I'm sure you're not going to get to this part yet, so I'll just say it. The car scene, that big military car chasing them, the Terminator-esque scene of that, I thought was done really well. And like I was on the edge of my seat watching that part because I was just like, like it slammed through some cars like nothing.
Not to mention, she survives because she's in like fucking 55 movies after this one, but you're still having a ball like, oh man, no one gets hurt. You know what I mean? Which I thought. But my favorite thing too is how did they keep a flying city a secret from Shield and from the Avengers?
This is one of those conspiracy theories where it's like we have clouds everywhere. Yet, like obviously something can hide in clouds. Why not? Plus, it's a bring back from what is it? James Bond. Isn't there like a cloud in this? Maybe it's the wrong movie, but there's another movie that has like a sky city.
Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back.
No, it's something else. I think it's James Bond. I think one of the James Bond movies has a villain that has a lair up in the clouds like that.
So that I was kind of like, just seems kind of stupid. Like I think Tony Stark would have found this. Another real benefit of watching this movie in 4K is when Ray Winstone, because I don't remember his name, Taskmaster A, her dad, is talking to Black Widow when they're up on Space Mountain, and they're chatting with each other at his desk. You could see how many earrings Black Widow has, and she has like 45 in her one ear, and I could not take my fucking eyes off how many earrings Scarlett Johansson has in her ear. It was so fucking distracting. Now, if I was watching
also
this like 1080 or 720,
if she takes all those earrings out and rubs cheese against them, grated cheese.
Right? Exactly right. Like maybe that's how she breathes underwater, because she can just put a fucking snorkel through her ear and it goes up because there's so many holes in it. But it was very distracting. And then the last thing, two more things that I wrote down. I love how there's RoboCop rules. And of course, nobody's going to get that because RoboCop was made 600 years ago. But she puts a gun in fucking Ray Winstone, and she's like, and she can't pull the trigger, and then she can't stop him because it's RoboCop rules, right? She's not allowed. He's given her directives that he can't kill her. I'm like, this is dumb. This is RoboCop rules, and so I started giggling because if you've seen RoboCop, you'd get that joke. And the last thing I wrote down, the stinger was dumb. It made no sense. It was just, hey, there's other Avengers. Hey, you know who's another Avenger?
It actually does make sense, Rob.
I thought it was stupid. How did it make sense?
Okay, so there's either two ways it could go, but either they're making a anti-Avengers group, or they're making the new Avengers.
Okay, but the Eternals are going to be the new Avengers.
Oh, that's
aren't they?
Completely separate. Like Eternals are celestial being. Like they're not going to go against the Avengers.
I just it felt very forced. I guess it's the way for.
She's going to be the new Black Widow, eventually.
Her sister. Does her sister have a name? Like in the comics, is she somebody, or was she just made up for the movie?
I don't know that. But I know that she is taking over the mantle of Black Widow because now Black Widow's gone. Spoilers for the rest of the movies if people haven't seen them.
Oh, fuck.
But she's taking over for that. But I think that because they have what's his name from Captain America and Captain Falcon.
Captain Soldier Metal Arm.
Yeah, exactly. That's. There's the picture. No, but that guy, the bad guy in that one, the blonde that replaces Captain America, he's going to be one for the team. She's one for the team. I think Miss Marvel.
Like the anti-Avengers?
I feel like they might do anti-Avengers and then go switch it up and turn some into like the Young Avengers. I'm not really sure how they're going about this because they don't want to be obvious about it. But like this Widow is the new Black Widow. That's all. That's what I know about that. And I know Miss Marvel is one of the new ones, and she's getting her own movie, I believe, or is it TV show?
Yeah. Oh, Miss Marvel. Yeah, Miss Marvel's fine. Captain Marvel, no.
Yeah.
But Miss Marvel, yes.
And
I'm
then
always down to watch anything in MCU
and
except
then
Captain Marvel. She fucking
the
sucks.
twins from Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah, the Animal Scarlet Witch and Vision's comedy hour.
Yeah, that one. That's exactly what it was called. I had that banner
Dick and
before
Jane,
that
I
I
believe, are the twins'
put on the
names.
show, but I think there's like a Wakanda person that's coming in. Those Wakandans.
Yeah, his sister is the new. Yeah, is the
So
new. Black Panther.
there's a bunch in that group, and I think they're going to try to set that up. And I hate that they're going to go this route first. I want to see the Fantastic Four and X-Men route that they're going to go to eventually.
I don't think we'll ever get a good Fantastic Four movie.
I guarantee we will.
That. I'm believing the hype that it's too hard a family. What's the right way to put it? Like, there's too many. Fuck, the word was just on the top of my tongue. Too many alphas in that group. Like, Sue Storm's kind of an alpha. Like, if you
yes,
and Rex, God damn it, Steve, what's the guy?
Thing?
Reed Richards, The Thing, Johnny Storm.
Mr.
They're
Fantastic.
all alphas. Yeah, they're all alphas, and
but they can play off each other really well.
But I feel like we already did that so well with the Avengers.
Just give it to James Gunn.
See, I'd be okay with that. I still don't think we'll ever get it, because we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts at it, and all of them were bad.
I guarantee you we're getting it.
You know what? Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but that last Fantastic Four outing, that was just abysmally bad.
And we just got a new MCU Deadpool teaser.
Oh, did we? I haven't seen it.
It's you know that trailer, that movie that's coming out with Ryan Reynolds that we were just talking about last week.
Oh yeah, the next guy.
Yeah, they showed a new trailer, and they showed a reaction to the trailer within the trailer of Deadpool and Korg sitting together on a couch watching it.
I think I heard about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
So that's their big hint, saying, yeah, he's coming.
Yeah, I don't know. This was a perfect. I love the idea that I could watch this at home, and didn't have to go to the theaters because I didn't want to. And it was, you watch it, you're like, oh, that's fun, and then you forget about it. Like,
yeah.
And maybe this will happen again when we all get swept up in it again. But I feel like, I want to say from Ragnarok until Endgame, everything in the world was about the MCU.
Yeah.
And then once Endgame came along and it was done, it was like, okay, we need a break from this. And they were smart with how it was just TV shows, movie here, like not a lot. You know what I mean? We did WandaVision, we did Loki.
And Loki's been really good. Like, if you haven't watched any of it yet, you gotta.
I did not like having to wait for WandaVision, so I'm going to wait for Loki to be all done and then binge it.
Oh, that's now.
Why is it all done now?
Yeah, today.
Oh, today? Okay, cool. I'll have to watch that. But I don't know. I'm hesitant to say that I'll be able to get back into. Oh my God, I want to watch everything superhero all over again. But maybe, because man, I did not think that I'd get as wrapped up as I did in the Universal and the MCU movies, and I totally did. I fucking loved it, man.
But right now they're just at that beginning phase of, like, they're starting to inch towards like a huge overarching arc, I guess, story arc. So like they haven't hit it yet. They haven't revealed what that is yet. They're just taking little bits from each movie, as they should. And that's like the new Widow. That's the kids from WandaVision.
Super Wanda, Happy Hour.
Whatever they're going to do with Spider-Man, that's going to be nuts. I'm really looking forward to that.
They don't own Spider-Man though.
It's in the MCU though.
Yeah, but he's rented from Sony, or like, I can't figure out how that relates.
It's a partnership.
Yeah, it's a weird.
It's a partnership where they both benefit greatly, so they're working together really well. and they're doing the Spider-Verse, and it's going to be insane.
Yeah, the Into the Spider-Verse, there's a theater in Kingston called Screening Room, which is a little independent movie house. And so I love going there because they have a lot of movies that I like art house movies and stuff like that. But they have free family movies that you just have to reserve a chair to go in. And they have Into the Spider-Verse there. My boys love Into the Spider-Verse. So we're probably going to go watch that when they reopen next week. And psyched for that. So go see Into the Spider-Verse in the Screening Room and buy some popcorn and shake. A Screening Room is a great place.
Yeah, they're very community minded, so they're great.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So Black Widow first of all, Black Widow, what do you rate it out of 10?
Oh, out of 10
or 100 or 16? I don't know.
No, I'm going to go out of 10. Out of 10, I give it a 7.5. It wasn't great, but it was good.
Yeah. I would say 7 probably. Like you said, it's not like, oh, I have to see it, and it's not one of those must sees in the theater. It was a good movie to watch and enjoyable, but if you missed it, you wouldn't be missing all that much.
You're not missing anything. Yeah, out of this entire year, there was only one movie that I think I might go see in the theater, and that's a strong fucking might. And actually, I don't think it's coming out this year. It's coming out next year. That's Dune. Halloween Kills, Suicide Squad.
Unless they redo the contract, you can watch it day one of release anyway on digital.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I have
HBO Max.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you want to go see these tentpole movies in the theater because you want to see like Dune. Best example, Dune would be amazing to watch on a big screen just because of the spectacle of it. But like the new Ghostbusters,
I want to see that in big screen.
Me? No, not me.
Jurassic World. I want to see on big screen.
I could watch that at home. No, just Dune. I want to see
actually
fucking sandworms the size it's supposed to be.
As we were discussing, I want to see Fast 9 on the big screen, but that's only if it's there when I have a date night with my wife.
But can I go and I'll be behind you guys like, hey, Phil! Phil! What do you think of this part, Phil? Hey, Phil!
You do that anyway from across the street.
Phil, stop looking at me with binoculars.
Yeah. All right.
But on to how crepes are made by superheroes.
How crepes are made on Netflix.
The superhero.
I had to throw in a Netflix movie, and this one looked interesting. And boy, was I wrong. And I think you like this most of all out of the three.
That's what I was going to say. Out of all three, this is my favorite.
I am the opposite. Like, and I will get into it, but we're gonna have fun with this one because I wrote notes, and you know how convoluted and messed up this can get. So. I didn't even go back to make sure if this was right. Okay, so how I became a superhero. We start off with a magician getting abducted for experimentation or something involving taking his blood. It was just to set a scene, and it comes back around.
Well, what was his name again? It was like Eclipso or something?
I don't know if it was the same guy.
No, Eclipso was the guy they grabbed in the start.
Is it?
But either way,
that's the thing I didn't go back and check because
it was the same guy.
We find out later in the movie something about this dude. Okay, so the setting of this world is where having a superpower has been normalized. Not everyone gets one. I would say a fifth of the population would probably get it. This is what it felt like. So it's kind of like, oh, you got a superhero power? Great. I don't. I suck. But anyone could have one.
Also, I'd say that I got the vibe that late teens, early 20s are battling it out is the wrong way to put it, but are being competitive with their superhero powers. Because remember, you saw that guy in the YouTube video who was like, oh, your top 10 superheroes. It's talking about Mr. Freeze and blah, blah, blah. It's talking about, I got the vibe that the people who had them were hyping them up.
I didn't get it. Like, okay, aside, I could see how you would think that. And I think generally speaking, that would be the case if you have a same world as we do, where there's YouTube and stuff and everything's been normalized. They rate the top 10 movies and that seems very normal right now. So like, of course they would rate top 10 current superheroes that are out
Superheroes.
there, but I didn't see it as it being like a thing where other superheroes cared that much.
Okay.
Except for near the end where the, yeah.
But that's because they wanted to see where they themselves stood.
It was a personal, yeah, it was personal, yeah. Like they thought they were over the, no one cared. Moreau, the lead character, is a detective. He used to work with a team of superheroes, now doesn't, so isn't as great of a detective. That's what I got from that first scene. He gets.
I got two. If there are so you get the vibe that he goes and deals with superhero criminals, right? That's the vibe that I got. That whenever there's a superhero criminal, they send him out. And I get they were called the Pac Royale was the name of the superheroes that he used to work with. Why aren't there any like superhero cops? And of course this gets answered, but right out of the gate, if there's going to be superhero criminals, why are there no superhero cops?
Yeah, they make him seem, like you just said, like he's one of them. Like he's one of the first to be called for it.
Okay, yeah, I guess that was just one thing that stood out. Like, and maybe we're arriving right at the start of the of hey, maybe we've got to come up with some superhero cops type of thing. You know what I mean? It just felt like being dropped into it. I was like, where are the superhero cops? Was the first thing.
Yeah, he shows up at a place that's been burned and meets up with another detective that starts off there and who started off the scene, and he's just taking over for that detective, and she thinks he's an idiot, so she's like, fuck it, whatever. And he is like, where's the coroners? They just haven't got off their ass, huh? And they're like, no, they've been here a long time ago, they're gone. And you're like, oh shoot.
And he's like secure the scene. They're like, yeah, we've already done all that. He's like, okay, well,
you can tell the other cops are just like, this guy. Idiot. Yeah. So go back to the precinct. He gets paired with another detective, which is that woman that was on the scene. Her name is Schultzman. So Moreau and Schultzman. I didn't put like specific notes at this point. Later we get into specifics, and there's a reason for that. Moreau visits an old dude who used to be a superhero, but now seems to be needing help from Moreau.
Well, yeah, from Moreau. Okay, I thought you said Moreau was this old dude. I'm like, no, that was the guy that Moreau went and visited.
Yeah, it's. At first, I thought maybe it was his dad, and they didn't want to say that. Yeah.
Well, I thought maybe his dad or his boyfriend, because he comes in and he says, "Oh, my love,"
boyfriend. Okay, yeah.
Because they're so touchy feely. I'm like maybe this is.
I think that's a little bit of France.
No, I get that, but I didn't know what direction it was going in. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's the connection that he has to this older superhero. But and then when he was like, oh, my boy, is like, oh, maybe it's his dad. Same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
And they don't show specifically he's a superhero until they show like him in the suit, and like I think it was a picture.
Or they show his suit in glass. Yeah. Behind
and you're like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the scene, he like does his superpower, which is like basically teleportation, right?
Yeah, I always call it, what did Nightcrawler call it? Vamping, I think, or whatever we call it, where he would like disappear and go different places.
Yes, it was that, but he couldn't control it all the way.
I think because of something we discovered later on, that was the reason he couldn't control it. But so one thing, and I feel this is a good ethical question.
Okay.
If
a guy gets too old, can you shoot him in the head?
That's exactly it. Like with all old people, I'd say over 60, we should, walk them into an oven, cook them, and then get rid of them.
Euthanasia.
That's what we should do. With the old folks' homes, we should have them just be big fucking ovens. But so my point is, if you were so he comes to a part where he's at a standoff with a high school student who's got like fire powers. He's shooting out of his hands. If you were in a situation where you were a normal person, you didn't have any superpowers, and you were fighting or you were trying to talk down a superhero person, would you agree with the mentality of shoot first and ask questions later? Or do you still think you should follow due process and try everything you can to take that down without as much violence as you can.
I think for the type of detective he is and what he's been through.
I'm more thinking like not from him, but I'm thinking that for
general,
you personally, yeah. How would you feel about morally? How would you feel about, okay, if it's a normal person, I'm going to try to, solve this non-violently. But if it's a superhero person, I am on the far losing side. I'm going to shoot first and ask questions later.
I don't think it's about I think it's like if he has a gun or he has a bazooka, it's still a weapon. So depends how he's using it. If he's aiming it at someone or you, like it really depends on the situation.
See, for me, I adopted a much more kind of I guess meaner mentality. If someone has the ability to make me go blind or shoot me with electricity, I will kill them if they are in any sort of capacity where they might be trying to inflict pain or inflict hurt or otherwise be a harmful member of society. I would shoot first, absolutely, and ask questions later. Don't give a shit if it's a kid. Don't give a shit if it's a pregnant mom. Don't give a shit if it's a kid in high school.
This gets into
kill them.
A issue, the current events issue with the cops. So it's like,
but I that's why I thought it was a very, and maybe this is why I really like this movie. I found that the ways that they broached, and they don't broach this question at all, but I found myself thinking about it as he's trying to talk that kid down who can shoot flames out of his hands. I'd blow that fucking kid's head off. And I turned to my wife and I was like, I'd fucking blow that kid apart. And she was like, well, it's just a kid. I'm like, I don't give a flying fuck. And that's where I said, I don't care if it's a pregnant woman or a fucking infant. If it can do harm with superpowers, I will kill it because.
But you have to wait.
Kill me.
But you have to wait until it's absolutely necessary to do so.
See, and that's where I think the difference is. If someone had that capacity and showed me that they were going to use it, I would not hesitate.
Well, you're basically saying like if a white cop and I'm going there, white cop and a black kid with a gun
get married
and he's walking to a bar.
No,
but I'm saying like you would want that cop to wait until that kid were like looking to aim the gun and shoot rather than just holding the gun and possibly having a potential of that happening.
If that was a normal if the kid was like non-superhero powered, absolutely, because it's
well, what's the difference? There's no difference.
Because a gun is not going to be able to make it go fucking blind with a thought in their head.
A gun could shoot you in the head and you're dead.
But they've got to point that gun and shoot you. A fucking
That's the
superhero
point.
Guy, and I'm okay with lethal force when it comes to that point. But a person that has the capacity to make you like a scanner to make you just fucking think and then your head explodes. As soon as that guy gives me the inkling that like he's looking at me like I'm gonna blow that guy up, bang.
Well, then you have to prove that he had that. The reason? Not reasonable doubt. What's the thing?
Yeah, what do they call it? No, they call it the mens rea, the willingness to commit a crime.
Not just willingness. It's a terminology that comes intent. That's it. You have to prove intent in that situation. So apply it to this situation where it's like, okay, the guy with superhero powers, you have to prove that he has the intent to fire.
I guess that's why I probably wouldn't make a good cop in this movie, because I'd have a death rap sheet a mile long.
You would have to adjust to powers and then get an idea of how they work. And that's where it becomes a bigger issue. Like you're thinking is like, how do you know when they are going to fire that power? What if they just have to wink at you? What if they just have to like nod their head? Like, or maybe they just like, you're in line of fire once you're in their sight or they hear you.
Exactly.
Like, who knows?
Or in their fucking in their peripheral, their thought. You know what I mean? Laws
would be a very difficult thing for that.
So we discover that they're using superhero blood effectively to make like.
Okay, can we put a pause on that, because we'll get to that.
All right.
So there's a drug on the streets that normal people can get. In this case, the only case so far is giving them flamethrower hands.
But and you come to understand, it feels temporary, like a high. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's a temporary power that you have.
Very
and it goes
temporary.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as it goes away. Now,
See-
one thing I thought after this, so exactly right, they're inhaling this power and then they can shoot flames out of their hands.
Yeah.
Do you think if they can shoot flames out of their hands, that it makes them impervious to flame? And the reason I bring it up is
No.
if I snap and suck the stuff up, one of the first things I would do was I'd turn to somebody else and did the same thing. Like, dude, let's try to set each other on fire and let's see what happens.
It was shown in the movie that one of the people that did it, his whole arm was burnt.
Singed. I guess
Yeah.
that being in that the state, the almost kind of, it wasn't euphoria, but it was kind of a drugged state, right? Like they're not thinking clearly
Mhm.
after they inhale this shit. The first thing I would probably do, and it was when all those kids are together and they're all burning like the skids, like the wood skids and stuff like that. I would try setting someone else on fire. Someone who had taken the drug, I'd try setting them on fire, which again probably shows why it would not be a good idea to give me superhero powers, because I'd go be like the Invincibles. I'd fucking destroy shit because I can do whatever I want. I'm a fucking
We
big
also
god.
don't know if he. Okay, so in this, it seems like you have the power for like a minute or two, if that. So maybe he was on fire and then it just dissipated and he just started burning. Don't know. Maybe it's just your hands that are impervious because that's where the flames are coming out of. Don't know. All right.
But it was fun to watch.
The precinct, I'm way off here.
God damn it, Phil. You gotta have notes like mine.
I gotta space them out so they're yeah. Moreau was the main bad guy. Okay. Yes.
I was gonna say, are you to the point now where we discover? So no, I'm sorry. Go on, because I don't want to interrupt it.
Main bad guy used to be a magician. Okay, it looks like I deleted something by accident.
I was going to say, wow, that's the end of that note. The main bad guy's name is Naja, I believe. Naja.
I got confused because I'll get into what.
Let's listen to what the rambling appearance of your notes are.
Okay, they track down the drug dealer, arrest him, and take him into the precinct. He won't talk. Okay.
Something that happens in this movie.
The precinct gets attacked by people who blind the cops.
Yeah.
I completely skipped over a bunch of stuff that I didn't write down. Just letting you know. We'll get into it.
Okay, so that's good, because this is the part that I was trying to get to. So what we discover in the cop shop is there's these guys that are coming in, they can blind cops. They're like flashing shit with electricity, which you're like, okay, clearly these are superhero guys. And then they make blind and zap Schwartzman or Schultzman?
Schultzman, I believe.
Yeah, they blind her and they zap her so she falls over a balcony. And Moreau is like running to try to get her, and then she falls over the balcony, and then the camera pans over the balcony and she's kind of hanging there in midair like she's being suspended somehow. And you realize that it's Moreau doing it. And then Moreau brings her back up.
His hand goes through her hand.
Correct. And then she's not blind anymore. So
it wears off.
Is it that it wears off? Okay, because I was like, what are Moreau's superhero powers? Can he like catch you in midair? So like some sort of telekinesis type of thing, but then he also reverses her blindness. Can he turn like time back or something? I couldn't figure that shit out.
It seems like the blindness is only temporary and it goes away, and it just happened to go away at that point. What his superpower is, and I was going to get into it later, but I'll get into it now because it doesn't matter.
You're French, we can spoil it.
He can weigh things down. He can change gravity on things, basically.
Yeah, like throw himself into the air, fly around if he wants to.
If he wants to. But he weighs down something later. Okay. He looks down in shock and sees Schultzman is floating. Flashback shows Moreau knows he had powers. We go into something else. Two teens are given free drugs on the street. because that shouldn't be an inkling to you to not take free drugs, right? But I guess that's how some things
people
happen.
Are so generous. They're like, hey, dude, I have these free drugs. Oh shit, dude, free drugs. Why don't you drive my car and drift around in it too while you're on these fucking drugs?
I have heard of that, getting free samples, and then that hooks people, and they come back to the drug deal.
This is why you don't get into drugs, kids. Do things that are better for you and not temporary, like tattoos.
So the teens take the drugs, they die. The dealer phones someone saying they need to work on the dosage, which is telling you that they're trying to sell these drugs to people, and the samples were just a test.
Now, this, I'm going to interrupt just for a second. This is where I saw a much better movie that I'd like to see. And it was basically what was going on by the bad guy. The idea of selling superpowers as a drug is fucking cool. And I love the backstory of, okay, we take superheroes, we exsanguinate them, so we pull their blood out of them, we can mix it, and maybe we can add shit to it to give the person a superhero high. So they were effectively taking the blood of superheroes and mixing it with other superheroes or whatever they wanted to do to make that a drug for people. I love the idea of them being like, just kind of like a veal, you know what I mean? Like a baby cow, just sitting there. You're giving them more blood to feed them, and you're taking out blood. You're giving them steroids and fucking vitamins and shit to make them produce as much blood as they can, and you're basically just pumping it out of them. That is like so cool.
Superhero farms.
Yeah, they're like the superhero farm, and then you're selling that drug. I love that idea, and I'd love to see a movie about that. You know, about that industry, and then somebody having to come in and take it down. Discover it, because it gives you remember Blade, the first Blade movie, when that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make all the humans have basically have a human blood farm, where Blade goes to that location. There's all these fucking people strung up in body bags. They're all sucked and cuffed in the body bag, and they're sucking all the blood out of them, and then the vampires drink that blood. I loved that idea, and I would have liked to have seen more of that in this, or to see a movie just about that.
I think they play upon that in True Blood, the TV show. Really, eh? I think so, because I think I saw a scene my wife was watching where they had like bottles of blood in the convenience store, where it's
didn't they come up? It's
human blood or something. I don't even know. I don't pay attention to True Blood.
It's neither do I, but I remember hearing somebody talking about a friend of my wife's talking about it. It's like diet blood. It's like fake blood, but tastes like the real thing.
Could be
type of thing. I don't remember.
Okay, so we got to keep moving. A teen with powers is abducted by the magician bad guy. He's got her in the same lab surgical setup he was in the first scene in the movie, draining her blood. Moreau goes to the girl's house and meets up with old superhero friend whom gets flashes of the future. He tells her to leave. He checks out girl's room and then gets attacked and drugged by magician thugs. Not magician thugs, magicians thugs.
It's funny, your notes make it seem like a really shittier movie than it actually
No,
is.
It is a shitty movie. It's a shitty movie. It's a shitty. Okay, Schultzman arrives. Future Flash girl sees her, gets flashes of Schultzman's death. So Future Flash girl flags Schultzman down. This is
you didn't invent the fucking name for the people in this movie.
Oh,
it's Super Flash Girl. Or Future Flash Girl.
For the rest of my notes, it's Future Flash Girl, by the way.
Magician assassins.
The thugs load Moreau into a waiting van while Schultzman and Future Flash watch from a distance. Sorry, it's Future Flash. Future Flash has a flash. I'm just thinking of hot flashes. Schultzman wants to.
You should be writing for the MCU.
Schultzman wants to stop the thugs, but Future Flash says, "Wait." As the van is about to leave, Moreau makes the van super heavy and it can't move. That's when Future Flash says, okay, let's go. Future Flash and Schultzman get the van. Future Flash fights big thugs while Schultzman bangs on back of van. The thug inside realizes
you write this like the intruder footage, like you're watching a video of what happened. You're like, all right, I gotta scribble down just so I can get these notes exactly what's going on.
I was so annoyed at this point of the movie. Okay, a thug inside realizes Moreau is weighing down van and yells for another thug's gun. You'd think he'd have his own gun. He shoots Moreau. The van becomes lighter. Moreau is thrown out of the van and thugs escape. Schultzman and Future Flash check on Moreau, open his shirt to see 3 bullet holes. The bullets then lift out of him and fall back down. Would they not fall back into the wound if they're lifting?
So I had 2 questions about this scene. One, when the guy shoots him and the car goes back up, that car like pushed down into the pavement, like it was being, or into the concrete.
It was being pushed down.
Those shocks are fucked on that truck. There's no way that truck's driving away.
Nope.
So I was like, that's kind of fucking stupid.
That's a fluke of luck right there.
And second, so is it? I'm assuming that Moreau has been shot. He's next to death's door, but he still has the power to suck those fucking bullets out of himself.
Yeah, he was not conscious, and somehow he was able to control that.
Just pulling those bullets out of yourself doesn't repair the fucking damage that they've done inside your body. If that thing is torn apart, your internal organs are still fucking torn apart.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of stupid.
He's not Wolverine. He doesn't have healing powers. That's never broached at all. They take him to old superhero guy. Moreau was taken care of.
Do you remember what the old superhero guy's name is or no?
Monte Carlo?
That's his name, but what was his name? His superhero name?
I thought it was like Monty or something, or Monte Carlo.
I thought it was Mirage.
Could be. I don't.
Oh, sorry. Nothing's as good as fucking magician thugs and Future Flash girls. So
yeah, that's all I pay attention to in my notes.
Maybe that's what he drives on Monte Carlo.
Schultzman confronts Future Flash for the story. The group of old dude, Future Flash, and some guy named Omega Man. Of course, I critique Omega Man. Met Moreau while on a mission. Noticed he had a power and asked the precinct for Moreau to be their liaison without telling the precinct that Moreau has powers.
What kind of French word is that too? Liaison.
Liaison. While Moreau was on mission with the super peeps, he tried to save Omega Man and got him blown off a building and incidentally caused his death. Now,
you could almost say that Moreau was a dangerous liaison.
Ending the show. We're done. No. Okay. Schultzman asks
how. You get to see Michelle Pfeiffer's big ass boobs in that movie. Like they're fucking pushed right up here. John Malkovich is like making out with her. It's a good movie.
I watch porn.
I think it's her first movie, man.
Rob, I watch porn. Like I don't need.
No, her first movie was Grease. It's somebody's first movie. I know it is.
Schultzman asks how Lily, the girl whom got abducted, figures into this. She's Omega Man's daughter. Schultzman gives Future Flash a piece of ripped paper with a phone number that she says she found on Moreau that she thinks he found at Lily's place. My comment. Ugh.
Yeah,
this is stupid.
There's a lot of assumptions.
There's a lot of incidental things that happen, coincidences.
No, the last thing I wrote, well, 2 things I wrote,
I hated
the last point about this movie was I would like to see this movie with Black Widow's budget. That would have been a lot more fun. You know what I mean? Like, and it might not necessarily have been better, but I think it would have been a lot more explosions, a lot more stakes. I just felt like it should have been a bigger movie.
Skip this movie altogether and give the Tomorrow War Black Widow's budget.
Oh, Lord, Tomorrow War. Everybody keeps on telling me to watch them. I'm like, no thanks. I'll pass.
By this point, I hate that I'm watching this movie. I don't want to continue watching it, but I am. And I hate that I'm taking notes for this movie, even though my notes say. They research the phone number. It's a superhero psychologist. They decide to send it to the old guy to get help. Oh, no. They decide to send in the old guy to get help. Old
But he
dude,
was really there.
old dude plants a bug, a microphone to spy on the psychologist. Turns out the psychologist used to work at a lab. She wanted to work on removing powers from superheroes. She managed to do so with a child, but the child went insane and killed his parents. He was put into a mental health institution, and the psychologist was fired.
You know what I just realized?
That was a lot of
My
like
tools
stupidity.
for cutting copper wire say wear eye protection on them. I don't know if you can see that. Why would you need to wear eye protection if only cutting is a wire? But I'm sorry, back to your extremely
Psychologist.
detailed notes.
The point that I'm trying to get at is the fact that this is a lot of coincidences that just happen to be there because they were written in to make the freaking movie make any sense at all. And it's convoluted. It's super convoluted.
Yeah, unnecessarily convoluted too.
Do you want me to continue, or do you want to round it out?
The only thing I will say about this movie too, so yeah, it eventually ends. Bad guys lose, good guys
Of course
win.
it does.
The end. But the one thing I found extremely underwhelming, so when there's action scenes, the music was so underwhelming. It was like a fucking person on an accordion. And the background,
and they had bad audio, that high and low thing. I hate that.
Did you watch it dubbed or did you watch it with the original French?
I watched it dubbed.
Yeah, I watched it with the original French. It sounded fine, but no, the music was terrible. It was just so out of place. It was literally, it sounded like the fucking Star Wars Cantina band behind some of their action scenes. It was so stupid.
I just felt like this was a writer that was just like, I gotta put this in and I gotta put this. Oh wait, it doesn't sew in together. So I gotta add this. Oh, and then I gotta add this. Oh, and then there's this other thing. A girl over here. That doesn't. Who cares?
Her name's Lily, like the flower. Maybe we should have some flowers. But no, I will admit that I enjoyed it more for what it got me thinking about. Like and then because for the rest of the movie, I'm thinking, fuck, dude, like you could have like these fucking people that you're bleeding the blood out of. And then what if you find some superhero that his superpowers make him blood and he pumps into the other guy? Like I just started going off on my own tangent in my own head about that. And then I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. But
so
for the majority of the movie,
you like this movie because it isn't what it could have been.
I like this movie because it made me think of what would be a better movie.
Exactly. It was bad. And the movie and the ending, just like they didn't care. It was like,
if you sat me down and forced me to watch either this or Tokyo Drift again, oh man,
Tokyo Drift in a heartbeat. This movie was, if you had to watch this movie again, it would be such a slog.
Yeah, I think you're right. At least Tokyo Drift has Asian girls dressed as girls dressed as schoolgirls.
In this movie, they built up this bad guy for the whole movie, and then at the end, he cried "mommy." Like it was.
Yeah, that was stupid.
So bad.
But also, the bad guy's thing is when he's going to kill you, he takes a top wrapped in string, and then says, "Don't move." And then shoots it at you and pulls the string so that the top starts going on your head and goes, "Ha! I did it."
It's a French game.
Like, what the fuck is that? It's like a dreidel. I didn't get what the point was of that at all.
It's like a yo-yo that lands in a bowl.
Maybe it's yo-yo bowl.
Yo-yo bowl, the new thing coming from Mattel.
Sponsored by Netflix weekly.
Yo-yo there bowl. We go. Yeah, no.
All right.
It was bad.
For you.
No. This movie gets a 3 out of 10.
I'd give it a
don't watch it.
I give it a 5 out of 10. Yeah, solid 5. Not a solid D or D minus.
It started off okay. It then got a little bit more okay, and then it just got convoluted and silly and just shit the bed.
Also, did you notice that all the guys seem kind of very
French?
but very and it's a hard to even find a word. Like they weren't scruffy. They were like handsome scruffy is the best way to put it. Like they all had 5 o'clock shadow, or they all had like good hair, but
They were all
none of them
tired.
were that, and they're all like kind of frumpy clothes, but never unattractive. You know what I mean? They were always, and even the women, women as well. They were always frumpy but attractive. That was one thing that I noticed
Rob,
about their character.
I find everyone attractive in their own way, so I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
find all tired people attractive, mostly because when my wife's tired, she'll be like, "Fine, just do whatever you want. Just don't wake me up." I'm like, yeah,
That's super attractive. Thank you.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Episode
But women with narcolepsy are super hot.
episode 23. Get ready for a banger.
I write
We are
this down every time, and then I just end up asking you on WhatsApp what I'm supposed
Yeah.
to do.
We are going to continue our Fast saga, and we're going to go into not the Fast and the Furious, but Fast and the Fast and Furious.
And you know what I like? So
brings
the
back the
posters
gang.
that they have for me in Plex is they have the names or whatever, and then they have a little slash at the bottom left corner, bottom right corner. And it says like 4, 5, 6. So I know which one I'm supposed to be watching just by that. I don't even look at the title. I just look for the little.
Otherwise, it would be confusing.
As hell.
We're also going to watch a Gunpowder Milkshake, where it's just like they decided to put 2 random words together.
That's my Netflix movie?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
That were released today or yesterday. And then I think we need to skip Space Jam. I'm sorry, Rob.
The only way I watch Space Jam is to butcher it.
Instead, if we can, I'm not even sure if we can yet, but and if we can't, we'll just skip it both of them. Escape Room Tournament of Champions.
Ugh.
Come on.
I'll watch that before I watch fucking Space Jam.
There you go.
So even the first Space Jam, I thought, like, this is really stupid. This is just, I'm not enjoying this. And then just saw the trailer for the second one. Holy fucking shit, dude. Give me a break. Like, there's some cartoons that need to be put out to pasture, and the fucking Looney Tunes are one of them.
So I think
loved
the
Looney Tunes
digital,
when I was a kid, but this shit needs to go.
I think the digital release for Escape Room is July 16th. So hopefully that's the case. Because things like to screw with me. So that is our lineup.
That means all we got is the Fast and Furious Milkshake.
No, Fast and Furious Milkshake. Sure. Can't say the, or it might confuse people.
Gunning for Fast and Furious Milkshakes. That's what it should be. Gunning for Fast and Furious Milkshakes. With
so make a new title.
Flash Girl.
Make a new title.
Future Flash Girl and the Furious Milkshakes.
Incorporate Fast and Furious, Gunpowder Milkshake, and Escape Room. Go.
Fast and Furious, Future Flash, Gunpowder Milkshake.
Future Flash is the movie we just covered. I hate you.
That sounds like a new Rob Zombie title. Future Flash Girls, Fast and Furious 4, Gunpowder Milkshake.
Fit it on the CD, just in a circle.
Well, fuck, blood. What was his second last album was The Electric Acid Warlock's Satanic Milk Orgy or something. Okay. Before that, it was Venomous, like Psychopath, Mega Man, Venomous Rat Regeneration Vendor. Like, he gives them the most fucked up names.
That's when you have a fan base that's going to buy it no matter what. You just don't care at this point. You're just naming it random things. That's when
you do a lot of drugs. And who knew Rob Zombie would be the type to do a lot of drugs?
And after your week of electrical issues, you're going to be on a lot of drugs.
Oh, fuck. But all right, that ends episode 23? 22. Episode 22 of Netflix Weekly. I have been Rob. You have been
Bill.
Huzzah. All right, so goodbye, everybody.
Do your dance.
Dun, 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 dun.